Thank you. Is it hot in here? Yeah. My wife was coming with me. And I'm Tony, I'm an addict, yeah. And my wife's, I mean, I come here, we moved here in January, and I come to a meeting and I met all you lot, and I feel like I could call half of you my friends already. My wife is stuck in Burwood, she doesn't drive, and she's not met anyone in 6 months. So I said, come, but, you know, round in Essex, she sort of knew everyone, and everyone knew her. And up till about 15 minutes before I left, she was coming with me. So and then she didn't come, and then so this sort of like family orientated share that I'd planned. And then Michelle come and plonked a tape recorder in front of me. And do you mind? And the ego says, well, of course I don't. But you know, inside, fear grabs hold of me. I've done the fear prayer more times sitting here than I have in the last week. So I'm Tony, I'm an addict. Very grateful, addict. Saved really by the programme of recovery. It outlined this. I'm going to talk about the big book because this is the only thing I know. I quote it chapter and verse because I read it. I was thinking for a long time. I read 4 pages a day. It was part of my programme. I've stopped doing that now, and I often think I was better when I was doing 4 pages of the big book a day, you know. But so it's sort of in me. It's instilled in me, which is not a bad thing, I don't think, especially for me because, I mean, I was in a psychiatrist's office at 12 years old. I ain't touched any drugs. Before that, people would sit me down and say, what is wrong with you? And I'd think, what are they talking about? Do you know what I mean? So there was obviously something going on there long before the drugs come along. And to be honest, even though I didn't really use, I tried certain bits and pieces, you know, like glue and gas at school and drinking, you know, from the sort of about 15, you know, spinning around, drinking a bottle of cider, that sort of stuff, and falling over, you know. I tried all that, and I loved it. I just loved not being with myself, you know. From that, and so and when I found drugs that I actually liked that had a good effect on me, I loved them. I love drugs, and I love your drugs more than mine, obviously, like everybody. But I love drugs, and drugs were not the problem, although I always thought they was. When I first went into treatment, which was up the road somewhere around the corner here. I thought I was a heroin addict. You know, I was intravenously using heroin, and I learned so much in there. Do you know what I mean? And I stayed clean. I went down to an halfway house in Bournemouth, and I really didn't fit in. And the first opportunity I got, I was back in London, and I was using again. And my mum and dad had this party for my 60-day clean because I was meant to be. I made it to 58 days, and I went round with mum and dad's and knocked on the door after I'd been brought back around as well because I used the same amount I used before I went into treatment, and it sort of killed me over. And even that, I mean, it was the 2 fellas I was with, they picked me up and carried me around, you know, on their shoulders until I come round. I mean, I've seen people like, you know, do that, keel over, and then that's it, they dump them in the Paladin, you know, in the bin. So, you know, I've been a very, very lucky boy, and you know, that was the start of my journey, but not the start of my recovery. You know, I went back to using for about 10 years from that point, and then I got clean, and I'd have done anything, and I did do anything. I spent a long time doing anything. If you told me to do so, I went through the steps so many different ways. They didn't really work. I tried that. There's a bit in the back of the big book where he talks about praying for someone for weeks on end, and I'd pray for them, and it'd really work until I saw them. as soon as I see them, it'd all come fucking back on me. Oh, it was torture. It was real torture, and you know, and it, yeah. So yeah. God, I've dried up. So I was doing anything I could. If you did whatever you told me, you know that one where if you told me to stick a broom up my arse, I'd have done that. I really would. I'd done anything that. And I went through the steps for about 5 different ways, and obviously they worked because I didn't go out using, but they didn't solve my problem. You know, what I didn't know at that point was that I had to master resentment. You know, because that was my biggest problem. That was the killer for me. That was, and I pick them up. I heard a fella say like a fly paper. That's me. I'll pick them up like that. They're on me. Anything. Not so much nowadays, but back in the day. And I met this fella, and I knew him. He'd been a counsellor in jail. He had a couple of years in front of me, and he looked a light. He looked like he'd had Botox. Do you know what I mean? His face was all smooth, and I was like, wow. He was like always so frowny and angry, and he explained to me, and he said, listen, you've got to be prepared to drink coffee on your own. And I'm thinking, fuck, that's a bit extreme, innit? And then he said, I can, you know, do you want? I said, will you take me through the steps? He said, oh, sorry, I've just booked my first group, and there's not enough room on it. He was taking 10 people through the steps in. I was thinking, he can't take 10 people, you know what I mean? I thought I was a bit of an expert by that time. And then he phoned me up a couple of days later. He said, listen, someone's pulled out, do you want to come? So I went round his house, and, you know, and I had this, be prepared to drink. What goes on in the sponsorship workshop stays in the sponsorship. It was like Fight Club, do you know what I mean? Don't tell no one what's going on. And it went on for 6 weeks, and we went through the book, and it was really good. He told me at the end that it didn't really matter what we was reading. It was all about getting us into reading. It was about getting us into reading. It was about getting us into writing on a daily basis. That was the purpose of that whole process. And in the end, on a Saturday morning, there were 6 of us left in this group, and we all went through the steps. And he took 6 of us through the steps from 10 o'clock till 5 in the afternoon, and we'd all read our step 4s out, and our personal stuff we took up to the bedroom and read with him and his wife, you know. And, you know, men and women, the thing was, it absolutely changed my life. For the first time in my life, I woke up with a clear head the next day, and I was amazed. And what it done for me, it made me start wanting to know more about this stuff. You know, and I think Bill W., I'm not sure, I think it was like 17, 18 autobiographies of Bill W. So I've read about 5, they're all the same, don't bother with it. They're all the same, they're all exactly the same stuff. But, you know, I read the top 5 in the Amazon sort of wish list, and I went through every single AA because I was just fascinated that I'd found something that actually worked for a person like me. Because I am nuts. I'm still nuts today. Right? People say, "Oh, you're so calm," and I am. I was talking outside until I don't get my own way. Yeah. If you say no to me, the Mr. Nice it's very slowly. It goes out the window slowly. I mean, but he changes into this really horrible, spoilt child that wants his own way. You know what I mean? And it was only the other day that I realised that. I was like, you ain't changed, Tony. You're still there. And the book tells me I get a daily reprieve. I don't get more than that. I have to do everything in the book, every single day, to get a day off. Yeah, and that's how it works. And then I can keep with my suit of armour, I can keep that on, you know, and I can, you know. And the one thing he said he wanted from me, Bill, my sponsor's name's Bill. None of you know him. You might know him. It doesn't matter really. He said to me, the only thing I want from you is that you go and do this with others. And I was so lucky because I didn't, obviously as a typical addict, I didn't keep it up, the stuff I was doing with him. I felt so good. I was amazed before I was halfway through. You know that one? I was amazed before I was halfway through. I was a light and nothing could touch me. And I stopped doing it. And then I'd phone him up and I'd say, oh, she's only done it again, Bill. And he'd go, write about it, Tony. I'd write about it, and it would leave me. And then I wouldn't need to call him back, you know. And then in the end I said, can I come and do it with you again? And he said, yeah, you can. And he was still doing it on a Friday night. And what I'd done, I took my first group through on a Tuesday. So I'd go round his house on a Friday night, and do it with him, and then I'd have I took 10 people. So I took 10 people around my house on a Tuesday night, and we'd done the same process, and it was just so easy. Do you know what I mean? Because I hadn't forgotten it. I'd forget it. Give me a week or two, and I'd forgotten all the stuff we'd gone through. So it was so good, and you know, and that's why, I mean, my wife has met so many people, because she's made tea for all these people that have come through our house. You know, but we actually, you know, I've had God in my life all my recovery, and when we, you know, I've lived out my dreams that I wanted to do. I wanted to build my own house. That was one of my things I wanted to do as a kid. I wanted to be an architect. Well, I failed miserably at being an architect, but when I was in prison, I'd done a drafting and design course, right, like a City and Guilds thing. It was like a year course, and I'd done it in like 6 weeks because I didn't have anything else to do. So I done that, and then off of the back of that, I drew my own drawings. I bought a little house, and I do my own drawings, and I put it through planning. And they, you know, if you're not an architect, they really do. What's the word? Scrutinise. Yeah. When the first one got objected on like 19, and the second one got objected on 18 things, and I had to write out. And it was so good for me because I had to write all this stuff out, and in the end they passed it. And I took a year off work, and I built it, and we sat in this room, and I said, I want this to be a meeting room so that we can have our group of 10 people around here. You know what I mean? So I was really like I live in my dream with this stuff. And we stayed there, you know. My wife moved in, we got married. I mean, I've been married nearly 17 years now. And I mean, that's a miracle, because I was a serial cheat. I was so frightened of being let down that I would just cheat. So that when you said, you're wrong and you was out with that girl last night, I go, no I weren't, and then I'd just go round there. You know what I mean? That was the sort of person that, you know, it's really helped me to grow up. So I managed to do that, and I had these groups, and you know, I've made a host of friends, and the only requirement from the people that I helped was that they go out and give this stuff away to someone else. And it stood me in such good stead. It really has. So today, now, I worship God. I've worshipped God about 4 hours today. Playing my chair. Yeah, I'm going to smash it. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't realise that sunbathing could be fucking meditating. Whoever thought? And but the thing is, you've got to be, and every morning I get pure clarity. I get this clarity with stuff. I think about things, and they're just so clear and precise and God-centered. It's just amazing. It's not me. It doesn't come from me. You know, God spoke to me once. He said, I was swearing at him as I was going down the motorway, and I said, you know, because we talk like that, me and my God, fuck this, fuck that one. And I went, oh, you know what, God, I really shouldn't swear. And then this, you know, the big booming God voice went, Tony. He went, I don't mind you swearing. It's people that mind you swearing. And I thought, and for a little while I went around, you know, it's people, fuck them. But what I realised is I have to respect other people. Do you know what I mean? And if people don't like swearing, I have to try my hardest not to swear. Even though, you know, it doesn't matter to me. But I mean, I think everyone would like me more if I didn't swear so much. So I'm bang on it. You know, a couple of years ago, the start of 2022, they said, you might have an infection. I'd had 2 hips done by then. I'd had a hip and it had come loose, and there was an infection, and that hip come loose, and they put another one in, and they really cemented it in so it wouldn't come loose. Yeah, and the second one, that was in 2018, and then in 2021 they come to the conclusion that it's probably got an infection. And in 2022 they found it. They said, if it's infected, we're going to take it out. We're going to chop you about and clean it out and put a temporary one in for a few months, and when the infection's gone, then we're going to put another one in. And I'm thinking, flip it now, that can't, no, God's got me here, that's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? And the infection was in there. And what came to me was what the book says over and over again, is when it gets tough, I need to put myself into helping others. I need to throw myself the harder into being of service to my fellow man. And so coming up to the first operation, I was promoting myself as someone who will help you to go through the steps. I was letting people know that I'm going to get more out of it than you are, because the book tells me to tell you that. My book says let the prospect know you'll probably get more out of it than they will, you know. And I was doing that, and people were just coming at me and asking me to help them, right? So I started doing what we do, you know, and we get them like contact up. And by the time I went into hospital, I had so many new people. I was a light. And then after the operation, the next morning, I got these people all ringing me up with their gratitude lists and want to talk about themselves. And it was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? And they're going, listen, when you're better, you can take me through the steps. So I changed it around a bit. I try and help one person at a time, you know, take them through the steps one at a time. And but it just stood me in such good stead, and I made more friends, and I got through the 2 operations, and you know, and I'm here today. I mean, you know, we've moved down to Dorset, which was like, that was beyond, that would have been too frightening, you know, to go from Essex. I'm from East London, and I've been there all my life. You know, the idea of, we was thinking, you know, just out in Essex a little bit, but we didn't have enough money to buy anywhere on the coast in Essex, so we, you know, we this was as near as we could get. And that's the truth. That is the flipping. And I said to my wife, we've got this house and it's beautiful, and we got it so cheap, really. And then my neighbour said to my wife today, you know, he lost a lot of money on this house, the fellow that sold it to me. And I think, he's got me. I do what I'm meant to do, stay on the firing line, and God has got me. And I don't have to think about it, I don't have to plan it, I don't have to do nothing. Actually, if I try and plan it, it usually goes wonky. If I leave it all in God's hands and just do the stuff I'm meant to do, everything else turns out better than I thought it could. I live in abundance. I really do. I've got everything I need. You know, and I've got more than what I want. I've got it all. How the fuck does that happen? I would rob you. Seriously. You know, I'm a career criminal. So I've got letters, career criminal, occupational hazard, is going to jail. You know, jail is an occupational hazard for a person like me. Do you know what I mean? That's how they had me labelled. I thought I was disgusted that they could even think that way. But that's what they had me down as. You know, I didn't think, and I fiddled. I took that. I didn't let anyone see that. I managed to copy it and change it so Tony realises the ripple effect of his crime, and then I gave it in. So I think this has been delivered to my cell by a mistake, and they went, oh, okay, thanks, Mr. But then, you know, for the next, I was still in jail for another like 14 months. For the next 14 months, every time a screw come to my door, I'm thinking, oh, they've sussed me out with this. Like, it was I can't remember what it was. Some being a good boy report. But Jesus, you know. But you know, in the end, I've got a couple of minutes here. I make my own bed. Invariably, the book says, invariably in the past I trod on the people's toes and they retaliated, you know, and copying out reports in your clate lesson is, I didn't even know how to do it. I had to find people that knew how to do it to tell me how to do it, you know, because it was all little bits in the corner. How did you get that little bit in the corner, you know what I mean, like the code and stuff like that. Oh, but you know, invariably, and yeah, what did I want to do? I did want to... Yeah, so, you know, that's what my sponsor taught me. He taught me how to master resentment. Taught me how to master fear. I don't feel frightened anymore. I'm so glad that I met all you lot. There's a good 10 people, it's probably more, that I could call my friends in here. Joe's going to be my noof. Where is he? The fisherman. Yeah, he's going to be my noof. He's got a boat. He needs to be my new friend. Oh, he's all our friends, yeah. But you know, I don't play a part in nothing. Yeah, I've never played a part. The book says, you know, well, we're the director trying to run the whole show, or what's my part. I don't play parts. I make mistakes. I'm at fault. You know what I mean? I have to rectify the mistakes I make. That's where I am. You know, and if I wasn't at fault at the start, the way I slander people and gossip about them and use it to sit on me pity pot for as long as it takes, do you know what I mean? That's where I'm at fault with that stuff, you know? And I am so grateful. I am so grateful. When Michelle asked me to do a share, I thought, finally I'll get to share at this meeting, because every week I come here, I don't like it at all. No, what if you've got a burning desire? You know what I mean? You've got to know that if you've got a burning desire, don't come to Ferndown. Do you know what I mean? You go somewhere else. If you're new and you come here, you know what I mean? They covered, didn't they? But yeah, I've enjoyed it. This is my home group. You know, it's only 10 minutes down the road from me. I'm going to bring my missus here when I'm not sure. It'll be much easier for me to introduce her all to you. I'm going to just leave it there. Thank you. Cheers, Tony.